Hi everyone and welcome. I'm really glad you're taking a few minutes today to watch this short video. I'm here from Second Step and we're proud to be at the heart of developing the PAT approach. That's Psychological, Adversity and Trauma-Informed Practice within the Open Mental Health Alliance. We're delighted that the Partnership Board signed up to the Trauma-Informed Strategy last year so that everyone is committed to embedding our Psychological, Adversity and Trauma-Informed approach. We know that using psychological, adversity and trauma-informed approaches can transform not just services, but the experiences of people who use them and the people who work in them. Over the last few years, Second Step have been embedding 6 key psychological, adversity and trauma-informed principles across our work and across the whole system. And these are the foundation of PAT, and they help us support people in ways that are safer, more empowering and more effective. So let's take a moment just to remind ourselves what they are. Safety, creating environments where people feel physically and emotionally secure. Trust and transparency, being clear, consistent and respectful in our communication and actions. Choice, giving people the space and autonomy to make their own informed decisions. Collaboration, embracing partnership working in all we do, understanding that we're stronger together. Decisions are made with people, not for them. Power is shared and everyone's voice is heard. Empowerment, recognising and building on people's strengths, resilience and potential. And inclusivity, actively valuing diversity and lived experience and working to remove barriers and inequality. These principles don't just sit on paper, they come to life in real moments, in everyday interactions, and that's what we want to talk about today. At the Open Mental Health Conference, we'll be doing a reflective exercise called Meaningful Moments. It's a way of highlighting those little flashes in our work and our lives where something just works, where you feel connection, growth, safety, or change, for example. A meaningful moment might be small. It might be a client saying something that shows a shift in trust, or a colleague feeling heard after a hard day. A time maybe when you adapted your approach to give someone more choice, for example, and saw it pay off. These moments are really important. They show us where the PAT principles are already making a difference and where we're already walking the talk. One of my meaningful moments was working with someone who'd been through a really, really tough time. She'd been in hospital, had a long hospital admission and ongoing physical health problems. She'd lost a lot of confidence and really internalised the stigma around her mental health. And she didn't feel good about herself at all. We spent time talking about the things that made her feel like herself again, or any small glimmers of things that brought her any sense of well-being, or that brought her joy before things got difficult. And in those conversations one day she told me how much she used to love dancing and how it made her feel alive and free. And watching her face in that moment when she described it helped me to understand how important that had been to her. So we found a local ballroom dancing class, and eventually we started going together. It was a gradual process. But watching her step back onto that dance floor, slowly reconnecting with her body and with joy, was such an incredibly powerful moment. She lit up and told me how she surprised herself by dancing again and how much she enjoyed it. For me, this was a meaningful moment in my work because it reflects something of what we're aiming to do in using this psychological, adversity and trauma-informed approach. I think it demonstrates what using the PAT principle of empowerment can look like in action. So here, it was about recognising and building on someone's strengths, reflecting those strengths back to someone, supporting them to reconnect with things that make them feel good, and enabling them to feel, more in touch with themselves again and more like themselves again. That moment reminded me of what's possible in recovery. It often begins with the smallest steps, or in this case, a few dance steps. So here's your invitation. Before the workshop at the Open Mental Health Conference, take a few moments to think about a meaningful moment from your own work or lives, something that made you feel hopeful, proud, connected, or that reminded you why you do what you do. And then when you reflect, ask yourself, which of the psychological adversity and trauma-informed principles that I've just talked about were in action? Think about the impact of that meaningful moment for the person, for you, for the whole system. We'll be exploring these together in the workshop, learning not by focusing on what's broken, but by shining a light on what's already working. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.